بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين. Inshallah, today we'll have another class of Al-Ajirromyya. We are mentioning and studying the mansub nouns, and we have reached the chapter of Al-Hal. Al-Hal means the state, meaning the state of the doer, the subject, or the object. The condition in which they're either doing something or an action is being performed upon them. In what condition are they, in what state are they when they're doing the action or when an action is being performed upon them? So that's the meaning of al-hal. The author says, rahimahullah, al-halu هو الاسم المنصوب المفسر لمن بهم من الهيئات نحو قولك جاء زيد راكبا وركبت الفرس مسرجا ولقيت عبد الله راكبا وما أشبه ذلك ولا يكون الحال إلا نكرة ولا يكون إلا بعد تمام الكلام ولا يكون صاحبها إلا معرفة. So what does that mean? Let me first share my screen so you guys can see what I am looking at. Today's class perhaps will be shorter than previous classes because this chapter is fairly short. Can you guys see these slides?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So the author says the state, which basically this is the chapter of the state or the condition, is the mansub noun that clarifies that which is ambiguous from the conditions. Now that will become clear with the following example, such as your statement, جاء زيد راكبا. Zayd came riding. You see that riding part? The rakiban part here? Isn't that a condition in which Zayd came? So the state of Zayd when he came was he was in state of riding a horse. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that is what hal is, al-hal, the state or the condition. And what is the i'rab of rakiban? Can anyone tell me?
Alif.
So alif is the haraka, but what is the i'rab?
Okay. Is it the fatha then?
Yeah. So what are the four types of i'rab that he had mentioned? Does anyone remember?
Yeah, rafa, kafa, then jazm.
Exactly. So when I ask which type of i'rab, that's what I'm asking for. So what is the i'rab of rakiban? You try to read this sentence. The answer is in this sentence.
Huh.
Is it rafa?
No. I mean it's here, right here. It
Nasab,
looks, yeah, it looks you right in the eyes. It's mansub. It's nasab. It's nasab. We said the state is the mansub noun. Mansub means its inflection or i'rab is nasab. So جاء زيد راكبا. Another example is ركبت الفرس مسرجا, which means I got on the horse while having a saddle, meaning while the horse is having a saddle. Now, it was hard to translate this with a single word, but I had basically this is what it means basically. Now, the state or the condition could either be the condition of the subject or the object. In the first example, is the condition of the subject or the object? Zayd came riding. Who is the subject in this sentence?
Zayd.
Who is the fa'al? Zayd. So riding is whose condition is riding? Whose state is riding?
Zayd. So the subject.
Zayd. Exactly. In this example, I got on the horse while having a saddle. What is the subject in this sentence? I got on the horse myself. Yeah. Exactly. What's the object?
The horse.
The horse. Okay. So the condition, having a saddle. Whose condition is it? Obviously, it's not ours because human beings don't wear a saddle. So, whose condition is it? It's the objects, right? It's the horses, right? So we gave examples for both. One for the doer or the subject, and the other one for the object. Now, this example is yes.
Sorry, very quick question. When we say Zaid came riding, is riding is that a verb or is that an adjective?
So in English, that would be a root word, right? Riding, hitting, leaving, eating. These are root words. So riding is also a root word. It's a noun. Basically, a root word would be a noun. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. So again, another $1 million question. What's the i'rab of musarrajan?
Nasab.
Nasab, yes. You get $1 million. After, inshallah, when we get to Jannah, you can ask for $1 million. Inshallah, you get $1 million in this life as well. Allah Azza wa Jal can do everything. Okay, so the next example is interesting. وَلَقِيتُ عَبْدَ اللَّهِ رَاكِبًا. I met Abdullah riding. I met Abdullah in a state of riding. Whose condition, whose state is this? So who is the subject? Is me, right? I met. Who is the subject? Is Abdullah. I met Abdullah. Whose condition is this? Riding. Whose state is it? I met Abdullah in a state of riding. The trick question.
The subject, Abdullah, right? I mean, it's a bit
yeah,
difficult to tell.
Your answer is not wrong, but it's not complete.
I mean, it's a bit difficult to tell who is riding in this case. Is it myself or is it Abdullah?
So the person that's like saying I is the subject, and then the object is Abdullah, and then the state of the object is which is Abdullah, right?
So both of those answers are correct. So brother Fahad said it's the subject, and brother Khadruddin said it's the object, the state of the object. So it could be that it's only the state of the subject. It could be that it is only the state of the object, and it could also be that it is state of both of them. They're both riding on a horse, and their paths cross, and they meet each other both in a state of riding, which is very interesting, right? Yeah. So
also, is this why it's ambiguous in a sense?
Yeah. So that's why it's ambiguous. You will not be able to tell unless you're able to see them, or unless if for example, I say something else. For example, I met Abdullah while I was writing. If I add like a clarifier as to whom I'm talking about. But just leaving it like this, it's ambiguous because you don't know the context. You were not there when this happened. So it's hard to tell. Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand.
Okay. Barakallah fikum. Okay, so next slide. ولا يكون الحال إلا نكرة. And I'm missing a word here. And the state does not exist or does not come except as an indefinite noun. What's the difference between a definite noun and an indefinite noun? Remember we talked about this. Something that's definite is known. For example, you say the book. The book in our case is definite because you've used a definite article. But if I said a book, that would be indefinite, right? It could be any book. It's not known. So the author is saying that the state, that the word you use to describe the condition of the object or the subject is always indefinite. You cannot make it definite. That's why if you look at the examples that we had, rakiban, see, rakiban is indefinite. There is no alif and lam, right? And the fact that there's a tanween tells you that it is an indefinite noun. Musarrajan, again, there is no alif and lam, because alif and lam, if you remember, that was the definite article he mentioned at the beginning, towards the beginning of the book. And also it has a tanween, so that indicates it is indefinite. Again, rakiban here also is an indefinite noun. So the state, the word used for the condition or the state is always what? Indefinite. And then you have وَلَا يَكُونُ إِلَّا بَعْدَ تَمَامِ الْكَلَامِ, and it does not come except after the speech, after complete speech. What does that mean? For example, if I said لَقِيتُ Abdullah, I met Abdullah, isn't that complete? I mean, do I have to ask? Do I have to add rakiban? I don't necessarily have to add writing here. I met Abdullah is a perfectly sound sentence. It's complete, and the meaning I wanted to convey has been conveyed, right? I wanted to tell you that I met Abdullah, and yeah, I just told you I met Abdullah, right? So that's what it means when the author says the condition or the state does not come except after complete speech, after the speech is fully completed. Does that make sense?
Yes.
For example, you cannot say وَلَقِيتُ رَاكِبًا, I met riding. It doesn't make sense. No one would understand what you're saying, right? You have to say who you met. So you have to make your sentence complete. Then you can add the condition to it to add more clarity and give more context to what happened or to what you're trying to describe. I guess just for clarity, I can say after a complete sentence. Okay, and then there's another condition, وَلَا يَكُونُ صَاحِبُهَا إِلَّا مَعْرِفَةً, and its possessor is always definite. Who is? What do we mean by its possessor? Meaning the one who is being described by the state, or the meaning the subject or the object that's being described, that's being given a state or condition by the state and the condition that you have mentioned in the sentence. In our example, who is the possessor of? In our first example, Zayd came riding. Who is the possessor of riding? Who is the possessor of this condition?
Zayd.
Exactly. So Zayd will always be definite. And if you remember, we said names are definite. Names are definite in Arabic. And this example, رَكِبْتُ الْفَرَسَ مُسَرَّجًا, I got on the horse while having a saddle. What is the possessor of the condition of having a saddle?
The horse, or
The
yeah,
horse,
the horse.
right? Yeah, exactly, the horse. And if you look at the name or the noun for the horse, that has an alif and lam, and alif and lam are the definite article. It is as if saying the horse, right? And that's how it's translated. You're saying the horse, therefore the horse becomes definite. Here you say I met Abdullah riding. Riding, who possesses this state? Who possesses this condition?
Abdullah, right?
Yeah, Abdullah or you or both of you. Yeah,
Yeah, it
everyone.
could be either. It could be like
Yeah,
it could be between Abdullah, myself, or both.
exactly, and you are definite because you're here. In this case, we're using a pronoun, and if you remember, we mentioned that pronouns are definite. And also Abdullah is definite as well because it's a name. So therefore, regardless of who this state belongs to, it is definite. So it meets our conditions. So all conditions are met in our examples, meaning the state itself is indefinite. It comes only after the complete sentence, and its possessor, meaning the possessor of the state, is always definite, right?
Oh yeah, I was actually a little bit confused because I thought the indefinite was meaning the possessor, but that's not the case. It's only for the state, and then
Yeah, and then the possessor is definite. Yeah.
Yeah, the possessor meaning the subject or the
Yeah, the object.
object. Either the subject or the object is that has to be definite for it to be the case.
Exactly. Very true. That's pretty much it. That's the chapter of the state. The next chapter is the chapter of at-tamyiz. Inshallah, we'll go over that next week. Do you guys have any questions before we end the call?
Related to the this? Oh,
it was related actually, to
yeah. Oh yes, this chapter is pretty self-explanatory. Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a simple chapter, but at the same time, it made us kind of made us think, use our aql a little bit, especially with this last example. Who does the state belong to, right? It was like a puzzle. But alhamdulillah, yeah, it's a good chapter. If you have any questions unrelated to the content that we discussed, inshallah, we'll do it after the class. But if there are no more questions, I will stop the recording, inshallah. Okay. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خيرا.